Hello, everybody. Welcome to another DCU Daily on Wednesday. Nothing special today, just a good old regular show, pre-Thanksgiving edition. Welcome to the show. We have a couple things to talk about, a couple major things, nothing too crazy, but, enough that'll hopefully wet your whistles for at least 2 days, because we're probably not going to be doing a Thanksgiving show. We kind of want to relax with our families, so we're going to probably be doing that. Just warning you guys now. But for today, let's focus on today. And today, we are talking about mainly box office stuff for the news. We have tons of Zootopia 2 things to talk about in terms of previews, global box office, since it has arrived early for international box offices, and then of course the projections, as well as how Wicked for Good is doing, as well as the projections for Fire and Ash, and then how the next season of Born Again might be delayed. Daredevil Born Again, that is. And then, of course, tons of quick hits to enjoy. And then mainly a lot of quick hits for DC Daily. We have some things that James Gunn posted that were kind of fun, nothing serious. And then, of course, Zack Snyder still posting his pictures, and maybe a hint that the merger is more along than we think in regards to Paramount owning everything Warner Brothers. But then we have our two major stories in regards to Edgar, Wright, and Batman 2, and of course we will be getting into that very soon. So why don't we hit that start button, that wonderful intro, and fully get into DCU Daily.
It doesn't seem to matter what I do, I'm always the number two.
All right, mister, I need to paint my abs on to get nominated. You don't see Robert Downey doing that.
You're kidding. You're kidding. I can't open the envelope without the...
Warner Brothers is heading back into the Matrix with a new movie in the works.
Wonder what other surprises are in store.
I want to be Bruce Wayne.
I like that. You're gonna love me.
There's the shot right there. That.
Okay, we don't need to see
right there.
You look ridiculous. Well, not no more, he don't.
What, dude? I can barely understand you. Your accent's insane.
What
Give me a hand up. Nope, I'm actually okay. Thank you very much.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Here we are, back again. Welcome to the show. I am, of course, your host, as always, John. Lovely to see you all. I hope you're having a wonderful day. But we are going to get into this. We're going to get into a lot of probably lesser things for the news, but, we are getting Caleb in the chat mainly. Hello, Caleb. Lovely to see you, as always. We are going to be talking about Stranger Things very briefly. And Dr. Sleep is based. Wonderful, wonderful choice for a King adaptation rewatch. So let's jump into the main things. Well, the first thing that we are going to be talking about, the main news story that we're going to be talking about is, of course, box office. Because even though we kind of have some projections for Friday, we have some early stuff since Zootopia 2 technically came out, I believe, today. So we're going to be talking about that. And of course, Zootopia 2 received $10 million in previews, the second biggest start for Disney animation. So always great to see, especially with how positive the reaction is for Zootopia 2. It has earned specifically $10.2 million in previews on Tuesday. Those ticket sales are the second highest ever preview start for a Walt Disney Animation Studios picture, behind Moana 2 and ahead of Frozen 2. Zootopia 2 officially opens on Wednesday and looks to collect $125 to $150 million over the Thanksgiving holiday weekend, which is saying a lot because, technically the Wicked for Good failed to reach the higher end of that 150. It got close, 147. We did talk about that yesterday. I'm shocked they didn't go with that. I'm shocked, maybe because maybe in the international market it's Zootropolis, so there's no 2 in there, so you can't say Zoo 2. I don't know. whatever. So maybe they didn't like Beetle. Like, I'm glad they didn't go with Beetlejuice, or you had like Fantastic Tac 3 and all that fun stuff. But could have been fun. But obviously, in terms of before we get to the official start today, in terms of projections, is turns out that maybe American box it should have been called Beetlejuicier. That's what I'm saying. It should have been called Beetlejuicier. I'm still miffed they didn't do that. Because then when they make a third one, inevitably it's going to be called Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. So it's like, get it? It's Beetlejuice, 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 then Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, and it just like becomes fucking annoying. So it's just like, yeah, exactly. Beetlejuicier, Beetlejuiciest. It would have been perfect. I don't care if it doesn't make sense because his name is Beetlejuice. Fuck off. I don't care. It would have been a better title. Anyway, so maybe the American box office totally isn't dead in China because we've been kind of talking about that, especially mainly with the failure of Superman, how it kind of didn't hit the mark with international audiences, maybe because of the idea of Superman being a very pro-American hero, and American ideas are not really being loved in international circles for obvious reasons. So maybe the idea, like, you do have Wicked for Good and Zootopia 2, maybe like because those aren't they're not in the real world, they're not, they don't bring about like political affairs in the world, that it's like, okay, they're easier to digest for people. That's probably it. And then on top of the fact F1 is huge globally, so that's also why it made more than Superman. And then anime is just fucking killing it right now, like with Demon Slayer, Chainsaw Man, and K-pop Demon Hunters. You have all that. So Zootopia 2 did hop to a record-breaking start in China and the biggest opening day ever for a US animated movie. So apparently, for Walt Disney Animation, Zootopia 2 is defying trends of the past year and beyond for Hollywood and China, nabbing the biggest opening day and highest single day box office for a US animated film ever in the market. With an RMB, I assume that's the Chinese currency, $240.2 million estimated opening Wednesday. This is also the biggest launch day for a studio movie since May of 2021 and the 10th best for Hollywood of all time. The Mauen audience score is a fantastic 9.7, with the critical ranking on Duban at 8.7. Comparatively, Zootopia had a 9.5. Inside Out had a 9.1. Moana 2 had a 9.0. It is early days, but at this place, Zootopia 2 is poised to become the biggest studio movie in China of 2025 across just its first weekend. So that's definitely bringing in a lot of interest, because we were talking about how China's sick of our bullshit and they want their own film industry. I mean, that was the whole thing with Nejat too. But we have also talked about how China can easily fudge their numbers. So it's entirely possible that this isn't true, but who knows? I don't know why they would fudge the numbers for something else and then not. And then, or maybe it's both. I don't know. But it's just like, it's weird how like the trends are with China at this point, because, the big thing was like, oh, Superman didn't make big bank over there. And so, it's like, what's the trend? What's the setting of trends in China? Because we thought we predicted it, but I guess not. Maybe they still are interested in that sort of thing. Yeah, I mean, maybe they are into the furry stuff. Who knows? It's just a very intriguing, like, trend that we thought we could have predicted, but we ended up not doing so. So obviously, time will tell on how Zootopia 2 handles in China. So obviously, I'm sorry. Obviously, we'll get there when we get there. But for now, it's doing very well and breaking the odds. Because never tell me the odds. But then, of course, the global box office, Zootopia 2 to uncage 270 million around the world. Thanksgiving US box office stretch looks to rank behind last year's record. No, Thanksgiving isn't a holiday in the rest of the world, but you'd think it could be, as we're in for another box office stretch for the record books. With the opening of Disney's Zootopia 2 and the second weekend of Universal's Wicked for Good, bound to send the domestic box office to what could be the second best 5-day Thanksgiving stretch over the last year's holiday Wednesday to Sunday record of $424.9 million. I remember last year was off a combo of Disney's Moana 2 and Universal's Wicked. So, we have a Disney sequel and a Wicked film, two heavily female-leaning tentpoles that didn't cancel each other out. Currently, the 2018 Thanksgiving stretch ranks ranks as second best with 315.6, paced by Ralph Breaks the Internet, which posted 84.7 over 5 days. So it seems like it is poised to make about 125 million over Wednesday to Sunday, with another 135 to 145 from a 93% offshore footprint, good for a massive global opening of 270 on the high end. All territories are going except for Japan on December 5th, with China as always being the wild card, but we just talked about how they are, doing quite well for themselves over there. So it seems like Zootopia 2 is off to a really good start, and it's looking like it might continue there and might resurrect this like box office that has been kind of dead all year. Yes, we did get some higher stuff in July because it had Jurassic World, Superman, and Fantastic Four, but those were not as high as we thought they would be. And so now it seems like with Wicked, this, and Fire and Ash, we might be getting like these are the things that might be able to bring 2025 to at least a kind of good close, even though it's not going to be better than the projections that were initially started in the beginning of the year, which were about 9 to 9.5 billion, as we talked about yesterday. So it fuels our box office obsession over. Yeah, that is true. Because you have a sequel, and a sequel. So it's like we have Wicked for Good, a sequel to the first Wicked. Then you have Zootopia 2, a sequel to Zootopia, and then you have Fire and Ash, a threequel to Way of Water. So I guess the reason we have a box office obsession now, and the thing is, I'm more understanding of it right now because we're on the brink of like the movie industry essentially collapsing, mainly the theater output, because it looks like maybe within the next 5 to 10 years, we might not even have movie theaters the way we have them right now. So I think people are kind of obsessed with the box office aspect is because, well, there are people like, Christopher Nolan and Tom Cruise that don't want, or sorry, Sir President Christopher Nolan to let, the the film industry die, especially movie theaters, because movie theaters are such a big, important part of the medium. So taking that away when they've pretty much been here since the beginning of the movie industry as a whole, that, it's just I think that's why we're kind of obsessed with it, because we want the money to be there, even though we want the quality too. I think the money is now more important because it's like the whole theater thing. But yeah, I mean, hopefully in terms of it being an industry, we get a good reset, because essentially that's what was necessary in the 60s. Because the 60s was like kind of this like more experimental era, and it was like essentially like the studio system was breaking. I've talked about this on the show a bunch of times, but the studio system in the 60s was kind of breaking down. It was like we got a lot of experimental stuff in the 60s that were like kept pushing and pushing and pushing. Like finally we need to get out of this bubble that we've been stuck in since the 40s and kind of the 30s, but ever since the Hays Code was more strict, they were like, let's fucking get out of this system. And then finally the dam broke, and then it flooded. And then with movies that like it was the thing that broke the camel's back was two major films, was Bonnie and Clyde and Night of the Living Dead. Those were the movies that really catapulted like the death of the studio system. And then the next year, there was a cleaning out of the academy where they were like, we need new people, we need this like counterculture to like judge these movies, because that's like the future of film. So we got this like dismantling of the studio system, and then it was like a phoenix out of the ashes, it was reborn. And then we got the 1970s, which is arguably the greatest decade of film ever. Like it, because it essentially was a continuation of the experimental aspects of the 60s, but like tenfold. So we got like these just like the start of so many amazing careers that were like moving on after like the death of the Hayes Code, and the introduction at the time was called the MPAA. So it's definitely, it was definitely this push. And the thing is, I feel like we've just been on the brink of that for the past like 10 years, and I feel like COVID should have accelerated it, but it feels like we've been backpedaling, and now with the whole streaming thing, there's that as well. So it's just kind of like we need to get out of this, but we're pushing. We've been pushing to dismantle the system, but I feel like Hollywood has been so up its own ass since the 80s that like we just can't get out of this preconceived bubble that is just like too like obscure for them. Like it just, we just can't see another way because we've been part of it for so long, even though it's been the writings on the wall for at least like a couple of years, at least a decade, I want to say. um sure. And also, hi Monique, nice to see you, and hard agree. um exactly. And the thing is, the industry we have is just not what we need right now, and we need to make that push, but it feels like Hollywood is pushing back, and that's a shame. But that's neither here nor there. Let's get into other things in regards to this. Now we're gonna, usually we try to do domestic first and then global, but this brings in more about Wicked for Good, and I would try to want to transition from Zootopia 2 to something else. But Zootopia 2 going wild. It's apparently gonna go for that 140 million 5-day opening. The range is about 125 to 150 in that, what was said in that initial article, like over here. I think it was this one, but this one specifically, no, not the China one. Um, but you had this one, which has said 125, and then with another, and then the global was going to be 135 to 145, and now this one is saying 140. So it's, the range seems to be 125 to 150, and this one is saying 140 right in the middle. So Disney will continue to own 9 of the top 10 Thanksgiving 5-day box office openings, as Zootopia 2 is set to do around 140 million from its Wednesday to Sunday at 4,000 theaters. So, because as Wednesday comes to a close, it's made about $40 million today, $40 million today and yesterday combination. And so Zooptopia, they accidentally spelled that wrong, owns the second best Wednesday opening for Thanksgiving after last year's Moana 2, as we just talked about. So it seems like we are going to be getting a really good opening for Zootopia 2 that's going to be in the range of 125 to 150. And then it seems like Wicked for Good is also going to be on its second weekend. That's also still going to be big. Wednesday right now is figured at 17 million at over 4,000 locations. It did dip 17% from last year, but it seems like the 3-day on the John M. Chu directed part 2 is $60.2 million, which is about a 60% drop, with a 5-day sum of 90 million, running total by Sunday of $267.4 million. Wicked second weekend was 81.1 with a 5-day of 118, so definitely higher. And it seems like Now You See Me 2 is eyeing around 1.5 on Wednesday, 5-day of 9.25 with a cum of 48.7. So that's definitely. And then Predator Badlands is doing well. Running Man is kind of trying to steady the race, but it seems like that's going to be a bomb. Eternity, again, that's a small indie film, so that's probably not going to make it past this weekend or the next. So it seems like that the sequels are killing it. They are killing it this weekend, and good for them, I guess. But it just goes to show how this will be an everlasting love, maybe. But I know I'm gonna be seeing Zootopia 2 with my sister on Friday, so that's very exciting. But I already saw Wicked for Good. Pretty good movie. I don't know. We didn't do a formal review of that mainly because I didn't really feel like it. But Wicked for Good did do it was okay. Like, it's a perfectly fine movie. It's an okay sequel to the first one. I think both are fine, but nothing great. So, that's what it is for me. But Wicked for Good, doing well. But that's not the last projection we have to get into. The last projection is Fire and Ash. So it seems like, even though this isn't due for another month, about maybe a little bit less than a month, it seems like we are going to be getting something real fucking good with this. So, it's well, I don't know if we're gonna get a good quality movie, but we're good. It's gonna be good in terms of box office because it's tracking with 110 debut, or at least in the 100 to 130 million-dollar range, which makes sense because Avatar: Fire and Ash um is going to be a PG-13 movie, while Zootopia is only PG. It's a more quadrant film. Mortkana, very nice to see you. Hope you enjoy the show. We are going to be getting into this much later on as we get closer to the actual debut date. But yeah, so it seems like it's going to be 100 to 130, which is not as big as I would have thought, but still pretty dang big because it we're going to be getting something, maybe not, obviously it's not going to be as big as the previous two, but it is definitely going to be something pretty name. So, in terms of the tracking numbers of Avatar: The Way of Water, it opened to 134, and that's just fine. And Avatar, movies are, they've always done really well. So in terms of all of this, the Avatar: Way of Water's tracking indicated a 150 to 175 opening 3 years ago, but the sequel came in below that. And here's the thing, but now that it doesn't really have a ton of competition, and superhero movies are now on a downturn, it might be actually reach that instead of going below that because, superhero films are not like as big as they once were. So that also helps. But it looks like Fire and Ash. I have a strong feeling it'll definitely be at least triple digits in terms of the 100 range. I think it'll be around, I think 100, maybe not 110. I don't think it'll be as high as 130, especially if Way of Water. I think people are now that we're getting continual Avatar movies, I think it's going to start to dwindle. Like, for instance, I don't think Fire and Ash is going to get 2 billion. It'll get a billion, I think, eventually, but I don't think if I were to make a prediction right now, I would say it'll probably make around maybe 1.5. I would say 1.2 to 1.5. I don't think it's going to make 2 billion, but it'll definitely make a billion. Now, after that, we don't know. If the movies get worse, we'll see. But I I don't wish anything best for this franchise because I liked the first one when I was a kid, and then when I rewatch it, I'm like, oh, this is just Fern Gully in space. So it's just like, and The Way of Water was just the same movie over again, but with worse characters and better effects. So it's just like, okay, let's see. And now it seems like fucking James Cameron is just ripping off Avatar: The Last Airbender with this, because it's not Avatar: Fire and Ash. It's Avatar: Everything Changed When the Fire Na'vi Attacked. That's the movie. Um, so, yeah, it's just the whole thing in terms of the franchise, but it seems like the projections are doing well. Maybe not as well as what they really want, but hopefully it's something. But now we move on to our only MCU story, and that is about Daredevil Born Again and how it might get delayed. Apparently, Daredevil Born Again season 2 may be facing a delay as Disney removes March 4th release date from the site. So apparently, the initial release date was March 4th, early March 2025. But with everything going on, redoing stuff and like trying to find a new path for what they're gonna do, it seems like they changed the March 4th release date to now only saying debuts on Disney Plus 2026. So, it's it seems like it's coming March 2026, but you know, it's probably going to come out later. Maybe they need to fix some things in it, but we'll see. Um, honestly, Fern Gully is meh. Fern Gully, um, missing that toxic love. Yeah. So it seems like Daredevil might be still coming out in March, but it just won't be specifically March 4th. So maybe they need a couple more weeks to tweak some things to really polish it and make sure it's the best for what people want. So that's neither here nor there, but that's it. That's the only thing for MCU Weekly. So now let's get into something a little bit quicker. And with that, we are going to get into the quick hits. So let's hope the quick hits are actually quick this time around. But the first bit of quick hit news, I was deciding on whether or not this should be a longer one or a quicker one, but ultimately, there was already something related to it in quick hits. So I'm like, I'll put it in quick hits. So the first thing is Home Alone turns 35 and Macaulay Culkin, the kid is all right. So essentially, this was just a long interview, essentially with Macaulay Culkin on where he is right now, looking back on his career, all the things he did, pretty much his entire life and what he's doing now. It's a very good article. I skimmed it. Very interesting on what Macaulay Culkin's doing right now, and essentially going off on his days on like what Home Alone was for him before that, after that, and how he's made peace with the movie. I don't think he ever hated the movie. It just like he was just like, oh my god, it's just one of those things where it's like I just got so famous that I was like, oh shit. But I still love that Hot Ones interview where he was like, I prefer the sequel. Why? I made more money. So, very based. And I'm glad that Macaulay Culkin is doing well for himself. Well, the thing is, this isn't the only thing. He actually had a bit of insight on a possible Home Alone sequel. And Macaulay Culkin, he's saying like, hey, maybe, Kevin McAllister has grown up and he has a son of his own in the film. And he's trying to get into his locked house, and maybe his son has traps for him. So, like, I don't know how that'll work, because it's like, is his dad a bad guy? Like, why would the son be against him? I don't know. It's just, I think that is funny, but he specifically said, I kind of had this idea. I'm either a widower or a divorcee. I'm raising a kid and all that stuff. I'm working really hard. I'm not really paying enough attention, and the kid is kind of getting miffed at me, and then I get locked out. Kevin's son won't let me in, and he's the one setting traps for me. Could be fun. I mean, it can't be any worse than the last 3 fucking sequels to this franchise. So, I'm sure that with good old the OG Kevin backing it, then we should be in for a fun time. Yes, unfortunately, we do remember that, but it could be a fun time, and it would be nice to see him again. And if he's open to the idea, I say do it. With everything getting rebooted, revived, just get Christopher Columbus back. Maybe have him direct it this time around. Have him write it this time around. And then, since John Hughes is no longer with us anyway, have him write it and direct, kind of like what he's doing with Gremlins. Since Joe Dante is not interested in directing it, he's taking over the director's chair. Have Chris Columbus take over the writer's chair and do Home Alone, The Return of Kevin McAllister, or The Revenge of Kevin McAllister, whatever you want to do, or The Curse of Kevin McAllister, whatever seems best. But I think that would be fun. Anyway, then Dan Trachtenberg revealed this behind-the-scenes image of him in the Predator ship for Predator Badlands. Looking pretty fucking awesome, and somebody wants a NECA figure of it. Greatest Tinder profile pic ever. You win. Honestly, yeah. Hell yeah. Looking great, and I am super jelly right now. Nice, Dan Trachtenberg. Nice. But a little bit on the sadder news. Food Network star Guy Fieri suffers accident and forces Flavortown Food Fight producers to pivot. So a bit unfortunately, he's recovering from an accident, and it's forced the production team to be a little bit more creative. And all I can say is I'm not a Guy Fieri hater like a lot of other people are. I hope he's doing okay, and I hope he gets through this. But it's a shame when something like this happens. But moving on to more reality TV, Dancing with the Stars waltzes off with highest rated finale since 2016. Well, as many know, that Robert Irwin took home the trophy as the champion, much like his sister Bindi about 10 years ago. So, congrats to him, and congrats to Dancing with the Stars to actually having a really good finale. I like half the time I forget Dancing with the Stars is still even on, let alone, it's getting still high ratings. So whatever. But congrats to them. Congrats to the people who won. Next up is Everybody Loves Raymond reunion special delivers a strong viewership, gets encore airing on CBS. And, I watched this. I literally watched this a couple hours ago. Very good. If you're interested in Everybody Loves Raymond, you want to see one of those clip shows, this is the closest you're going to get to a revival, because Phil Rosenthal and Ray Romano have said multiple times that they are uninterested in doing a revival because they don't have Peter Boyle, Doris Roberts, or Sweeney Sweeten, I think his name was. They're no longer with us, so there's no point in doing one. And they kind of like shit on like revivals, because he's like, yeah, we're not going to do that because we don't have these three people, and we actually respect our audience and respect the show, so we don't want to bring it back. I'm like, damn, all right, okay, fucking heat coming from Phil Rosenthal over here. But but honestly, yeah, it's not gonna lie, everybody just needed a break from Rain. That's honestly kind of funny. But it's nice that it got an encore airing on CBS. Maybe it'll probably, I'm assuming the streaming numbers for Everybody Loves Raymond is probably gonna chart now. So, congrats to them, because it was a great show. Like, it was one of those shows I never like watched religiously, but it was like, if I was home and I was like sick and it was on, and I would like watch like reruns of it, and I enjoyed it. I thought it was a funny show. I wouldn't say it's like the greatest sitcom of all time, but I would say it's probably underrated, like in the pantheon of like 90s sitcoms. It's not like as remembered as like Friends or something like that. Yeah, Peter Boyle, R.I.P., Doris Roberts, R.I.P., and then but yeah, I think it was a great show, and I think definitely underrated. I'm looking up what his kid's name was. It was Sawyer Sweeten was the one who passed away. That's what happened. Would your mom that you still live... All right, why do you gotta fucking make you butternut... Who the fuck makes butternut squash when you're sick? No, I got chicken noodle soup like a normal person. What the fuck are you talking about? Anyway, but yeah, Everybody Loves Raymond. The reunion, people are loving it, and I liked it. I thought it was great. I thought it was fun to see. Next up, the cinema is dead, everybody. Twisted Serial Killer Universe spawns movies Jeffrey Dahmer and Ted Bundy. So apparently we're getting another like cinematic universe of horror garbage, and apparently they're gonna include movies called Jeffrey Dahmer and Ted Bundy, where the former will see models on a photo shoot stalked by a doll possessed by the spirit of serial killer Jeffrey Dahmer. And this is a first look at it. You have like Discount John Hamm, you have Discount Madison Eisman, and then this weird looking motherfucker over here. So it's just like, okay, sure. It looks dumb and it looks crappy, and I can imagine it's probably going to be as good as the Pooniverse. So, because I'm doing the show, this is my job, I'm earning money to do this, so I'd rather do that than watch mediocre television. I hope that's a good enough answer. I mean, apparently Mike Flanagan's been working on it for fucking years, but it's just something that has never like reached that. No spoilers for the people involved in chat. I mean, I don't care, but just for people in chat, don't spoil things. But yeah, stupid thing like Popeye the Sailor Man, Betty Boop the horror movie, Steamboat Willie the horror movie. I go see David then. That's coming out soon. So Next up, YouTube TV strikes carriage deal with Televisa Univision, ending 2-month blackout. So another blackout has ended, because I know there was the Disney one the other day that they finally reached a deal. So now they finally reached. So it sounds like YouTube is just being an asshole about a lot of things. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe the other company's being an asshole, but it's lovely to blame YouTube because fuck Google. Yash saying it's good. I mean, that's what they said about season 4 and season 3, and I don't care about them. So, you know. Then next, Warrior Nun. Yes, apparently that was a show. Warrior Nun creator developing detective series Time of Death following reality distortion field deal with Omnifilm. So apparently Time of Death will follow a haunted detective who, after a decade spent chasing Britain's most elusive serial killer, relocates to Vancouver only to become convinced his old nemesis has resurfaced there. As he dives into new cases in an unfamiliar city, his relentless obsession threatens to pull him back into the darkness he thought he had escaped. So yeah, it's just like typical police procedural with a supernatural force, kind of like Lucifer. Cool. I guess I might watch it, but probably not. South Park to debut new Thanksgiving-themed episode as Cartman brings chaos to town. Comedy Central will air what should be the penultimate episode of the 28th season of its smash hit animated series on the eve of the holiday. So it's going to be called Turkey Trot, and it's going to be centered around Cartman being a piece of shit, because that's what always happens. Warrior Nun sounds like a fake show from Rick and Morty, honestly, or like 30 Rock or something like that. Why? That was the worst season of the show. Gobbles. Yeah. Next up, speaking of Stranger Things, a potentially major Stranger Things season 5 spoiler has resurfaced ahead of tonight's premiere. So if you don't want to know spoilers, mute now. Or don't look now. However, so we're hours away from Stranger Things Season 5. Well, it has premiered. It premiered about 2 hours ago. Season 5 premiering on Netflix with its first 4 episodes: The Crawl, The Vanishing of the Turbo Tribe, and Sorcerer. However, as we first reported, a major spoiler for the final season has already found its way online, courtesy of Scooper, My Time to Shine. They revealed that in the final season, Noah Schnapp's Will Byers is getting powers similar to 11, given his connection to the Upside Down and various hints in Season 4 and trailers for Season 5 about his link to Vecna. Will developing his own unique abilities isn't a huge shock. Whether he'll use them for good or fall to the dark side remains to be seen, but his arc promises to be one of this final season's most compelling storylines. Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? But yeah, seems cool. I can't imagine the show will be good, but you know, that's neither here nor there. Moving on. Quentin Tarantino, in his inability to shut the fuck up, Quentin Tarantino blasts Hunger Games for ripping off Battle Royale as he starts to reveal 20 best movies of 21st century. How did Suzanne Collins not get sued for every fucking thing she owns? Because they're two entirely different movies. Yes, there are some story similarities. Yes, there is the basis of the idea of kids going to get killed for population control and, you know, it being televised and all that shit. But Battle Royale is way darker, way grittier, less theatrical, and it's more of a low budget horror movie than this spectacle action film. Yeah, I know. Like that's like saying, how did the creators of Battle Royale how did they not get sued for everything they own for ripping off Stephen King because Long Walk came first? It's just like the idea of a battle royale is not new. I mean, it was done in the fucking like goddamn like Coliseum. Like that's no, what the fuck are you talking about? But yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like I joked for a long time, like, oh, Battle Royale was ripped off by the Hunger Games, where it's just like, I mean, there are some similarities, and it's entirely possible that Suzanne Collins did get inspired by it, but the thing is, it went off, like, the only similarities is, like, it's a Battle Royale featuring kids that gets televised, and the story ends with two lovers escaping and, you know, and together instead of one winner. So yeah, I can see like there are similarities there, but like it's not the same fucking movie. It's so beyond different, and I don't know. I just find that to be Battle Royale, and it is. I would say Battle Royale is pretty much better than most of the Hunger Games movies. Pretty much better than all the Hunger Games, and I like Hunger Games. Like, I thought the first one was very good. The second one was phenomenal, even though I didn't like the book that much. Mockingjays 1 and 2 was not very good. And then Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes was surprisingly really fucking good, although I have heard the book is much better. But Battle Royale stomps on all of them. Yeah, exactly. It's just Sallow is just terrible, and it has nothing to do with this. So yeah, just Quentin Tarantino just wanting to hear himself talk. That's essentially what it is. But last one, and I included this for the obvious reason, Justin Lin walked away from Fast X after clashing with Vin Diesel over a huge twist and Transformers-like finale. So according to several high-level sources in the production, Lin had hit his breaking point over the steadily increasing creative decisions with Diesel, as well as difficulties with the star's sister/producer Samantha Vincent, who often acted as Diesel's emissary, a key source of discord centered around the script and its ending. While a cliffhanger was always part of the Fast X plan, several drafts of the screenplay also hinged on a jaw-dropping twist in which Dante is revealed to be the true father of little Brian. Some members of the team felt that the late game turn was the perfect, if deeply dark, way for Dom to reckon with the concept he held most dear, and that's family.
What's real is family.
Yeah. So others, including Diesel, felt differently. Universal Pictures reportedly wasn't sold on Lin's idea for the final action set piece, a sequence described as over the top and featuring Dante using a giant excavator like machine to wreck everything. Okay, like, these motherfuckers went into space. You can't go more fucking over the top than that. So essentially it was just a lot of like egos being rubbed together wrong on set, and yeah, so bit ridiculous. But obviously we'll see. Like, it was treated like a Transformers movie. It was totally out of context with the movie, though. I thought it was a little too Marvel. The problem was it would have been all CGI, although we ended up with all CGI at the end. From the moment that Dom jumps over the dam in the final film, it's all CG. So, it seems like, that they didn't like any of this, so that's why, this was all in the companion book Welcome to the Family, which is like behind the scenes of all this stuff. So that's why Lin ultimately left it, and Louis Letellier eventually joined in. And with that, hi Ron, nice to see you. Crazy, but I watched the Rage Family. Don, I am your father. Darth Vader twist. Yeah, pretty much. But we got a family thing in there, and that's all that matters. With that, we move on to DCU Daily, but before that, we have to thank everybody for watching, and of course get rid of this damn music. There we go. So thanks for watching the news side of things. Now we are going to be getting into DCU Daily, which isn't a lot, mainly just quick hits, but we do have still quite a bit for you. But we are going to head into DCU Daily proper, so let's get into that and have some DCU fun.
It's another project that's been blessed from the beginning.
There's the shot right there. That.
Okay, we don't need to see
right there.
Hey, buddy. Eyes up here.
Now you want to get nuts?
Let's get nuts.
Here we go.
Victory mine. Ask me how am I doing? I'm telling you, really, I'm doing sublime. I never wait in a stewardess line. I just go do it. I'm moving my time. Really had nothing to do with it. How am I moving? I'm moving like you want to shine. Follow my lead. Don't listen to lies. I had to put me all in the line. That's why I know that victory's mine.
I prefer Jared Leto.
Hunka hunka.
Welcome to the show, ladies and gents. Welcome back to the show, I should say, DCU Daily Time. Of course, I'm your host, as almost always, John. Lovely to see you. Thank you for joining us on this wonderful, wonderful pre-Thanksgiving day. We are going to be talking about all things DC. Not a ton as yesterday, but still enough, and hopefully it's good enough for you guys. The first thing, something sillier, but we are going to be talking about this that James Gunn posted. So somebody answered, "We need answers, James Gunn. Why didn't we see this in the Superman movie?" And it's essentially Baby Joey riding a like the little kaiju thing. It's from Legacy Effects, and apparently this was a maquette, which I think is like just like a reference piece. Legacy made for me as a gift. I love it, and I have it on my shelf. And somebody asked if this was the thing, but I think it's just a picture. I don't think it's like an actual statue. But yeah, again, I wanted to start off like a little bit sillier, a little bit funnier. Um, but what's up, everybody? What's up, Hunter Iggy? I'm happy we didn't. Baby Joey was the MVP of Superman. Hell yeah, he was. But yeah, just something silly to start off DCU Daily. But let's get into some other stuff. But James Gunn posted something else. Loving Superman, the art and making of the film, forward by David Corenswet and intro by me, available now. And here he is reading his lovely book. So if you guys want to go buy it for a family member, buy it for yourself. It's on shop.dc.com, and there it is. You can get it for $50, which is not too bad, but not too great either. So I would say save it for something else, unless you have the money. But I want that book. Well, it's $50. Go off and have it. And 1A. Yes, of course. But let's properly get into some more. Well, I wouldn't say serious news, but something a hell of a lot more serious than James Gunn. Zack Snyder, the man still keeps posting fucking images. And, looks cool. It's from Dark Knight Returns, but as Zack Snyder loves to call it, the hard suit test. But yeah, Zack Snyder just wanting to post all the things from the Instagrams and on the Instagrams from BVS, from Man of Steel, from all the stuff. But yeah, here's another one. It will be more for me because of international, so I moved on. Yeah, most sane people have. But Zack Snyder still wants to post stuff, so here we are. But that's not the only Batman news we have. Apparently, something that's very interesting, mainly because of all the merger talks, is that Paramount Plus is officially adding several of DC's Batman films to their streaming service beginning on December 1st. So, as we all know, this merger that we have talked about endlessly, that we are all sick of, we just want this fucking shit to end. It just I'm a Snyder cool. Okay. Uh yeah. But so this brings up an interesting, I mean, it probably means nothing. It's just like, oh, we're gonna point into this, but like Paramount Plus is adding all the 4 original Batman films on the site. So if you don't have HBO Max for whatever reason, but have Paramount Plus instead, then you can now watch the first 4 Batman movies, although Batman Forever is the only one that matters. Yeah, no, this doesn't mean it, but it's just like an interesting, very convenient timing, I think, is what people are saying. Is very good, because I'm not the only one who thought that, but somebody, could this mean Paramount win the Warner Brothers sale? But the thing is, Prime and Netflix have them as well. Netflix has had the first 4 Batman movies on there for a while, so this doesn't really mean anything. But it's just like, I think Warner Brothers just trying to stretch their influence more so. And who doesn't? I mean, most people like the first 2 Batman movies. Some people like the third one. Most people don't like Batman and Robin. So it's just like, it still is worthy to say it is very interesting and peculiar timing that this happens. So maybe it's just like a sweetening of the deal, like, oh, we'll give you some Batman movies, so give us a sweeter deal. So that's all I think it is, personally. But that's not the last of it. We are gonna move on to more Batman news. He pushes you to your darkest absolute limits. Christopher Nolan refused CGI for The Dark Knight's riskiest stunt. So apparently, the memorable truck flip scene came up. Chris Corbold, who was the special effects supervisor for the film, revealed he initially had safety concerns regarding the stunt. Ultimately, though, he was forced to find a way to get it done after Nolan put his foot down about not using CGI for the effect. As he stated about the director, he pushes you to your absolute limits. According to Variety, Nolan and Corbold have a shared belief that CGI should only be employed if a shot is physically impossible to achieve or otherwise. Nolan is known for his strict work ethic, which has made him one of the most acclaimed directors in Hollywood, perhaps in the history of the industry. Yes, of course. Talking to IGN in 2010, Dark Knight coordinator Paul Jennings broke down exactly what it took to bring Nolan's ambitious vision to life. We did it twice, once in a big area, a runway, because we had to check when it got blown over, that it stayed straight, because obviously if it gets halfway up and falls to the side, we were in the middle of the Chicago banking district, it would have gone through a bank's window. So we had to flip it once in rehearsal to check the pressure on the ram, and then we went down to the street. It was LaSalle, and we did it. We actually flipped the truck, and it was standing again. It's like 54 feet in the air when it's at the top of it, but that wasn't all. There's a real guy driving that, Jim Wilkie, a great old stunt character from LA. We had to be careful about the sewer and stuff and all the pipes under the road because a pipe was coming out with 100 tons of pressure. And if we got the wrong place, it would blow through the road and put a wedge in the road and stop the truck. So we had to find a part of the road where it didn't have any wires or drains, so it didn't punch through it. He just pressed the button and over he went. There's a point being where that's as nervous as you can get and that's as scared as you can be. And then you've just got to focus on the job at hand and not to let the fear and panic in, or not let the fear stop you doing what you need to do. That's how you make mistakes. That's why a good stuntman can be really afraid and still do it. So yeah, it just goes to show how even in this day and age, the Dark Knight still manages to wow us. Most MCU directors do it in post. Yeah, essentially. Yeah, it shows why Mr. Doctor Professor Christopher Nolan is one of the all-time greats, no matter what people say. Say Dark Knight is overrated, say, oh, most of his movies suck, but like he's ambitious and he's experimental, and that's what makes him remembered. So, the next thing that I wanted to briefly touch on before we get into the major stuff, but apparently, even though this was made apparently 22 weeks ago, that Supergirl got its own Instagram. So obviously we can look at what it says, but yeah, this was from 22 weeks ago, and so this was her debut back in 1959. Kara Zor-El reaching Earth. I think I have this on my wall somewhere. I don't know where. I think it's somewhere on my wall. I don't know where, but I have it. I do have it because hang on. I think you can. I think it's that one right there. I think it's that one. I'm gonna hang on. I want to show it off. Hang on. Let me see if I can. Yeah, that's it. Okay, so that's so this famous introduction of Supergirl. I do have it as like a little tiny poster on my wall. So the blue skirt is weird. Like a lot of people seem to forget that her original outfit was blue on blue instead of blue on red, like blue shirt and red skirt. It was actually blue shirt and blue skirt, but it didn't last for very long, and I think she eventually went to the red skirt, but you did have the blue skirt for a bit. So awesome to see, and it just showcases how what this character means for the future in the DC brand, even though they haven't updated it in about half a year. We do love a good Supergirl comic, and I'm hopeful that Supergirl is good, but I'm not holding my breath because Tom King. But before we get into the major news, we do have one thing that I did want to talk about, and obviously it is in the title of the video, kind of. But one thing I did want to get into was the biggest story we have. It's in the title. Edgar Wright coming to the DCU and getting treated better than the shit fucks down the street, by the way. So apparently, on the Happy Sad Confused podcast with Josh Horowitz, he asked Wright about the possibility of directing something for DC Studios, citing James Gunn's desire to make DC a filmmaker-friendly sandbox. And I mean, James Gunn did mention that in the world of the DCU, since James Gunn wouldn't exist, that Guardians of the Galaxy would be directed by Edgar Wright. So it would be funny to bring him, or was it like vice versa? Yeah, I think that's what it was. I think it was like in the DCU where Guardians of the Galaxy exists as a movie, it would have, Edgar Wright directing. So it'd be funny to bring him in, but he had this to say. I don't know. I think it's all based on the title, Wright said. I think it's something where when those things have come up and Ant-Man unfortunately fell into it as well. But the reason I wanted to do that in the first place is because I was inspired by the people who got to do it, the first of something that set the pace. 1989's Batman, when it came out, was both the biggest movie of the year so far and also so idiosyncratic and specific to Tim Burton. It was incredibly quirky for a big studio movie, and you felt that when Sam Raimi did Spider-Man and when Chris Nolan did Batman Begins. So for him, it all depends on the title. He was inspired to make the first Ant-Man movie, and I think he wants to make the first of something. So I don't know what he could definitely do something really, really interesting. I mean, it is Edgar Wright, even though The Running Man kind of failed. I think he still has another big studio blockbuster in him before he eventually, has to I feel like he needs to go back to his horror roots. Maybe he can do something in the DCU. So it's entirely possible that I think I think whatever we would get for this, I think would be awesome from Edgar Wright. Because like Edgar Wright, I still think he's a great director. I know a lot of people are like, oh, he hasn't been good since the Cornetto trilogy, which you could say. But I don't know. I think whatever is decided, I think he will do amazing things with it. So, you know, that's fine. But what are some characters that you could, because we could do a fan cast Friday on Edgar Wright directing a film in the MCU. I don't think Wonder Woman would fit for him, and he seems like he wants to do like the first in something. So I don't think he wants one of the big ones where it's like I think he wants to do something where it's like the first. Ant-Man was never done before on film, and Tim Burton was the first, Richard Donner was the first, Sam Raimi was the first, and while Christopher Nolan wasn't the first, I think he wants to more so headline the first of a character. Whatever that is, I'm not sure yet. Yeah, I think Animal Man could be good for Edgar Wright. And whatever is decided, I think, give us some more suggestions. We might do this for a fan cast Friday. So I think sorry, just texting someone right now. But I think Animal Man could be good. Booster Gold could be really good. Maybe like Plastic Man could be a lot of fun. Exactly. He was first with the Guardians. Hosea, nice to see you. Nice to see you. What were the other DC movies? Well, I mean, he was talking about Tim Burton and Nolan specifically, but he also talked about Sam Raimi. But I think he still has another blockbuster. Or he could go horror roots if James Mangold fucking leaves Swamp Thing. We can get Edgar Wright for Swamp Thing. It would be very different. But he has done horror before with Last Night in Soho. Wasn't very good, but he still has done it. The Authority, it seems like The Authority is going to be more so a TV thing than anything. But obviously give me your ideas because I think that would be really awesome to see. But yeah, so we do have one more story that is in regards to the Batman, of course. The Batman. But let me just pull this up real quick. And me head. So apparently, according to this, we have Batman, the Batman, Part 2, said to be starting production sooner than expected. We'll film in Glasgow and Liverpool. So, we have a ton we haven't gotten a ton of Batman stuff, just that we know that it is going to be starting production soon. And all we know is uh all we know is that they've been like, the script is finally in, they're starting production. They were going to be starting sooner than Superman Superman Man of Tomorrow, and that they're going to be starting sooner because I think it's going to have more post production and stuff like that. But even though Man of Tomorrow is coming out first, but it looks like it's going to be starting production sooner. So apparently, the road to getting a sequel to 2022's The Batman has been complex and long. Fortunately, the film is finally taking shape under the watchful eye of returning director Matt Reeves, starring Robert Pattinson. Bruce Wayne's latest standalone adventure slated to release in 2027, which means cameras are expected to start rolling in 2026. Back in August, production lists reported that shooting would commence on January 1st, 2026. However, also in August, Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav stated in a letter to shareholders that the Batman Part 2 would start shooting in spring of next year. Now, though, a piece of information seems to point to the long-delayed sequel actually starting production much sooner than stated by the executive. According to Glasgow World, filming on the movie is indeed expected to kick off in January of 2026. It's worth mentioning, however, that it's possible the outlet got its information from productionlists.com's aforementioned report. So it seems like, especially with the Luke Hull concept stuff that he did post, and like the production stills, the production designers doing scouting locations, it's entirely possible that we're going to be getting it soon. I don't think it's going to be January 1st, but I don't think it's going to be in spring. Like, I could see it being in like April, May, but with like how much practicality, I think there's more post-production in regards to that. Maybe less, I don't know, but I remember 2022 also there was a lot of inhibitions in regards to COVID. I know Robert Pattinson got COVID for a week, so that caused a bit of a delay. But it seems like, even though Zaslav stated it would be coming in spring, it seems like it might be coming in January, and maybe not January 1st, but it seems like we're going to be getting it sooner rather than later. So that's definitely a lot of fun. We love to see it because that means we're going to be getting all this lovely stuff much sooner, and that is, I think, an absolute joy to see. Because I mean, I have been one, like, I'm not obviously I'm not hugely excited for this. I think I think because I liked the first one. I thought it was pretty good. However, the problem I have with it is it's just like, I think it's too long. I think it doesn't feel like a Batman movie. The best part of the movie is not Batman himself. I didn't like Zoe Kravitz's Catwoman. I think it does have a lot of problems. So with all of that, I think it's just kind of a bit ridiculous. So, it's whatever. But I think I did love the Penguin. I thought the Penguin was fantastic. But yeah, GTA. Technically, that is true now. We're getting Batman Part 2 before GTA 6. Yeah, I mean, I did say that, so we'll think about it. Martian Manhunter could be good for Edgar Wright as well. It can be a little bit annoying. Dan is pretty late about stuff, but it's still kind of fun to do. But I think this is a good sign. I think this is a good sign, and we're in for a good time. But that's kind of it for today, folks. I wanted to say thanks for watching, and I did want to tell you guys, I wanted something before we like officially end the show. I'm gonna do this. I wanted to say happy Thanksgiving to all of our American audiences. So fuck you, Ron and Tony. Get the hell out of here. You aren't a part of this. Kidding, of course. But I just wanted to do like a cute little happy Thanksgiving. I hope you guys have a fun, happy, and safe holiday. Try not to get into politics. Try not to get into annoying things, but I hope you have a good holiday, and thanks for watching the show. Make sure to like, make sure to comment, make sure to subscribe, click the notification bell so you know when we go live. Today was a bit of a quick one today. I apologize for that. It was just like, let's just get this done. We had enough stories and we had enough to do. Dan is still on dog duty, so quite literally. But we hope you enjoyed the show for today. So we won't be here tomorrow, but we will be back on Friday, and we will be back with Fancast Friday as well. We're going to be doing the doubleheader again. So even though we're taking a break tomorrow for the holiday, we will be back right then and there. So before we end, Worldview asks, what was your favorite part of the Batman that didn't involve Batman? Honestly, Lieutenant Gordon, aka Commissioner Gordon, he was the best part of the movie, and he was, honestly, I would want to see more with him than with Batman. Like, it's just like Robert Pattinson wasn't bad as Batman. It's like we've seen this thing before. It's just like they don't do anything new. It's like, oh, we're doing detective stuff. It's like, okay, Christian Bale already did that. Oh, we're making him darker and grittier. And it's just like, okay, we kind of got that with Tim Burton. So it's just like, it feels like they were trying to push the idea of like, oh, we're doing something new and not actually do anything new. Honestly, the thing that would be good to do something new, allegedly, well, new since Adam West, is do a campy Batman. Like, do something like that. But I don't think Michael Uslan will ever sign off on that because he does hold the rights to Batman media, and he has hated the Adam West portrayal because it's not his Batman. So, Also, hello, Easy Elite Easy. We are ending the show proper, so apologies for that. But M2G, thank you for the happy Thanksgiving wishes. Make sure to watch Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Make sure to have a nice slice of turkey. And if you're deep frying your turkey, stay safe, away from the house, and make sure you're watching some good YouTube videos, tutorials on that, because don't fucking burn your house down. But again, thank you. I hope you guys have a wonderful holiday. And remember, of course, as always, stay blessed. Not just for DCU Daily, not just for James Gunn, but for Thanksgiving. Have a good
It's another project that's been blessed from the beginning.
There's the shot right there. That.
Okay, we don't need to see
right there.
Hey, buddy. Eyes up here.
Now you want to get nuts?
Let's get nuts.
Here we go.
Victory mine. Ask me how am I doing? I'm telling you, really, I'm doing sublime. I never wait in a stewardess line. I just go do it. I'm moving my time. Really had nothing to do with it. How am I moving? I'm moving like you want to shine. Follow my lead. Don't listen to lies. I had to put me all on the line. That's why I know that victory's mine.
I prefer Jared Leto.
Hunka hunka.
And fuck Jeff Snyder. Always.